Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another audio commentary of Retrospectives Be Damned. This commentary will be covering Season 2 of RBD. So here we have the sixth episode. Starting here, the show started following a time formula. I really realized in the previous seasons that the episodes had to be a certain length. I tried to make it under 10 minutes or slightly over 10 minutes, but gone are the episodes that are 16 minutes long because I just felt that was way too much time to ask someone on YouTube or anyone really to watch me talk about the things that I talk about. For this topic, I chose instructions as sort of a follow up to the game boxes, um, because I mean that's the next thing you would have aside from the game, right? In a game box or package, you'd open it and inside would be some instructions. And also at this point, they were dead material. I mean, we were now it's like whatever, you don't get instruction manuals, that's fine. But at the time of this recording, there's this weird transition where you were starting to get like little papers inside that would say like, "Hey, you should check out the instructions on the website," or something like that. It was basically like a well, literally an instruction saying if you want to see the real instruction manual, go online. Um, so the part here in the recreation where I sing opera, I included this in the script honestly because my friend found it hilarious. I was getting married shortly before this episode aired, like a few months. It was like late 2014, and I was really nervous on the way, so I just started pretending to sing opera. And my friend started cracking up, and he's like, "That was beautiful and amazing. That was great." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." So that was kind of like my little tip of the hat to him. And that person, by the way, is Brian O'Leary's, who is in a ton of my movies, but oddly enough, never made an appearance in any RBD stuff. So moving on to the seventh episode, this is a really big deal. It's the first appearance of the Extreme 90s Gamer. The Extreme 90s Gamer was I wanted RBD to have a partner because at this point, you know, my wife would come in and out, but she was kind of the straight man to the RBD, and the RBD is already the straight man, so it's kind of like in terms of comedy, it's a little silly. And I had a villain for him with the other RBD guy, but I wanted someone else who was kind of like similar in DNA to the RBD guy, but a little different. So I wrote this character called the Extreme 90s Gamer. And honestly, I didn't know my sister was going to play the character because I had written it, and then there's two people I was thinking of doing. Either a friend of mine named Hota, who has been in a ton of my other movies. He was Drunk Jack most recently in a starring role. He was also in one of the people that dies in The French Assassin. Um, I decided to go with my sister because honestly, I don't have enough women in a lot of the things I do, and I just really wanted like that representation. Plus, I've been told I write women in a particular way, and I feel like the Extreme 90s Gamer was written very differently. And also, my sister is a great actor, and I knew she was going to have so much fun nailing this character, and she did. She instantly got it. It was so funny, and it was so fun to bring her back in subsequent appearances. So I chose Sega Dreamcast for two reasons. One, it's from the 90s, and I wanted something 90s oriented for the Extreme 90s Gamer. Secondly, I just really love the Dreamcast. It's just the system that I still think about very much so. Um, Several years after, I mean, many decades after its release. And it's important to me. It was just very ahead of its time, and I have a lot of fond memories. It felt like the future was finally here, and it kind of was. It was like the advent of online gaming and a bunch of other stuff. I could go on, so I'll stop here, but I just really love this system. um, Also, there's an awkward last shot in this episode, and honestly, that was because when we set up the shot, you could clearly see my wife's reflection operating the camera um, during this episode. So it was like, okay, yeah, let's try to change this, and I did the best I could, but it is still very awkward. It's basically we zoom out until Lena stands up, so she blocks my wife, and then we zoom back in as they walk out of frame. Very awkward, very strange, but whatever. It did what it did. And here we have the eighth episode of this season, or the show in general. Episode 8 was the episode where I realized there was a lot of anniversaries happening the year in 2015. It was just jam packed with anniversaries for like really popular consoles. So I decided, well, let me do an episode about that. And it's kind of like, the RBD guy has to do a marathon sprint. I can make a very long pee joke, because, of course. And that sort of became kind of like the whole thing was just that. I knew there's a lot of consoles, and I knew he would have to go through them quickly, so I wrote the whole episode around that, of him just being super flabbergasted and getting through everything. And of course, my wife makes a little appearance, giving me some water, which is very much what happens in real life, to be honest. But yeah, that was pretty much the long and short of it. A very kind of oddly simplistic, while being very. It's a simplistic episode in terms of how we filmed it and how it's presented, but it's a lot of information at the same time, which I think is kind of a rare thing. I don't think I ever did something like that later on. So here we are at the 9th episode. This is the first two-parter I did, which just seemed to make sense. I knew I was going to do top 5 games, and just made sense that 5 through 2 should be its own video, and that number 1, which is Metal Gear Solid, I had so much to talk about, so I knew that would be its own thing. This episode did make me realize that I needed a release strategy. I did 5 episodes for season 1 because the first episode, the pilot, was actually in 2013. So 2014 was actually just 4 episodes I did. And I actually wrapped it up early because I was getting married. So I released the last episode in October, knowing I was not going to have time to film in November, which was the month I was getting married. For season 2, I just was like, oh yeah, we'll do 5 again, right? That's what season 1 was. I cannot do 5 episodes, at least at that point in my life. It was just difficult to do research for an episode, and then film it, and then cut it, and to do 5 episodes of that with all the other things I was doing. Because remember, this is not my job. It's a part-time fun thing that I do. Then and now. So it did make me realize I needed to give up 5 episodes a year, and that's why in the following season and subsequent seasons, for a while, it was 4 episodes a year. So basically 1 every quarter. So it would give me 3 months to do each episode, which, was great. A month of writing and editing, a month of filming, a month of editing and release. But yeah, that's pretty much the important thing to take out from episode 9. Also, just for reference, this list is no longer accurate. 5 through 4 anyway. It's not in that order. Some of these games are gone. GTA 5 is absolutely gone. I don't know what I was thinking adding that. Great game, but definitely not my number 2 favorite game. Yeah, it's been completely restructured since, good lord, it's been almost 10 years since I've made this episode. So, yeah, a lot has changed. So here we have episode 10, which is also the season 2 finale. Um, I had been waiting so long to talk about Metal Gear Solid on any forum, really. Podcast, the show, and anything related to games. Just I had, I have, and still do so much to talk about. What this game means to me. Metal Gear Solid is my favorite game of all time. Pretty much everything I say here is still accurate. For the most part, I could go on and say more, but that's not the purpose of this commentary, so I will not. But yeah, I just wanted. That's why this, like I mentioned previous, I wanted number one to have its whole own episode, um, just because I really needed to kind of say everything I wanted to say about Metal Gear Solid. So yeah, it was great. This was definitely like a top kind of like tier episode. Like when I write my ideas, I have like top tier ones and I have other stuff I want to do. This was definitely at the top, and I got to knock it out fairly early, so that was really cool. So also another thing, by the end of this episode, it actually sets up for next year's plot, which once again is kind of pushing forward on the road to episode 25, which is what season one's season finale did. So here, we set up kind of like a little bit of a mystery that gets unraveled next season, and just continues to push us towards that big 25 episode arc that I had kind of plotted out to do over the course of the show. So yeah. But all right, guys, that is it for this season. Overall, a very different season from season one. I think a lot of really cool stuff introduced, more guest stars, of course, and it was fun. It was a really cool thing to do. But all right, guys, thanks for listening. We'll be back. There'll be another episode, obviously, of these commentaries dealing with season 3. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy all the audio commentaries posted. Take care.